Hey, what is going on, guys? It is Young here, and today I'm back on our Fortnite video. And in today's video, I'm going to be going over one of the biggest mistakes players make in Fortnite, and I'm also going to fully explain that mistake and show you guys ways that you can avoid making that mistake. And before we get into the video, I have a weekly V-Buck giveaway. I'm going to be giving away V-Bucks every single Friday, and if you guys want a chance to win some free V-Bucks, all you guys need to do is to drop a like on this video. Make sure you guys subscribe to my channel and as well subscribe to my second channel. I post a ton of really good content on there, so make sure you guys do subscribe, turn on my post notifications, and as well leave a comment down below of your Xbox gamer tag, your PSN gamer tag, or Epic account. And if you guys would like to support me as a creator in the item shop, all you have to do is go over to the item shop, go into the bottom right hand corner, support a creator, and type in my code. My code is Younghumor. Type it in and you guys will have me support it as a creator. And alright guys, let's get right to the video. Alright, so for the gameplay in the background, I ended up dropping 17 kills, so I absolutely went off. I was rushing every single player, and I was just winning the gunfights very easily. And so the one thing that I wanted to be talking about in this video is probably the biggest mistake players in Fortnite are making, and this could really come down to a lot of things. There's a lot of different reasons why you might be making this mistake, but I'm pretty sure just about every single one of us are making it at some point. Even I mess up sometimes. And this mistake can really happen at any point. It could happen in the early game, it could happen in the mid game or the late game, and it pretty much applies to every single gunfight you guys are going into. So this is just something you have to really keep in mind every single gunfight that you're in. So I would say the #1 mistake players are making when it comes to this game, and just, you know, they're losing fights, they're losing games because of it, it's just going to be not taking full advantage of the situation that they're in. And I'm really going to explain exactly what I mean by that, because there can be a lot of things to consider when I say that. So I really feel like a lot of players that I'm watching, or a lot of players that I'm fighting, even when I go against them myself, is I end up losing the gunfight, not really because I make a huge mistake, not like I miss my shot, anything like that. I feel like the main reason I'm just not taking full advantage of the situation I'm in, not taking full advantage of it, because a lot of times the gunfights you're going to be going into, you're going to be going up against a ton of different players, and the players you're going against, they could either be low on HP, they could be low on materials, they could even have worse guns, whatever the case may be. There's a lot of things to consider, and this is something that can apply. So just to give you guys an example, in the early game, a lot of the people you're going to be going against are not going to have a lot of mats, they're not going to be having a lot of HP, and just a lot of things you're not going to have in the early game. So with that being said, if you are, starting out and you land at the house and you are able to find maybe a combat shotgun, maybe some shield, I think that they did add the shield a little bit more available, so I think they increased the drop rate from about 15 to 19%, both with the minis and big shields, or something like that. They made the increase a lot bigger, so shield is a lot more common. But anyways, right off the start of the game, even a lot of people now still don't have shield and they don't have these kind of weapons. So if you have those weapons right off the start of the game, it gives you a huge advantage, or maybe you even find a llama. In that case, you have a major advantage when it comes to materials. So when you're in the start of the game and you do find those kind of items, you're going to have such a huge advantage against the other players that you're going to be fighting or going against. And a lot of times when I find those weapons, instead of just looting up my entire building, if I already have a shotgun, I already know I can get a good push on the other player and the other building, I'm going to go ahead and do so. I'm not really going to wait and just play a little bit slower, because if I play slower, the other player is going to have a lot more time to get more materials. Maybe they find a better weapon after they go into the bottom of their house. So there's a lot of things to consider. So if you find a really good gun off the start, instead of playing a little bit slower and waiting really to loot your entire building, if you already have the weapons that you need, the HP that you need, you might as well just go for the challenge on the other player before they even get set up. Because once you have that advantage at the start of the game, it gives you such an advantage that it doesn't really matter if you have more HP or not. If you have the better weapon, especially if you have the combat shotgun, this gun is so strong in the start of the game. If you have this weapon, you're going to have such an advantage on the other players. You really don't have to have as much HP or materials if you're able to get the shots on the players that you're going against. And also another big thing to consider, and this is going to be going into the gunfights you have in the middle of the game, where you're fighting in the middle of the open, or it really doesn't matter, but say you're in a gunfight and you make the other player low, maybe they're at 30 HP, 40 HP, or something like that, they're on low HP. one thing you always want to do is you always want to try to finish off the players that have low HP, because once you finish the players that have low HP, it's a lot easier to kill them than someone that has full HP. But a lot of times when they have low HP, they're going to be boxed up, they're going to be very hard to dig out, they're really just going to sit there and not move whatsoever, because obviously they have low HP, so they're not going to be doing anything or trying to challenge that gunfight. So that can be super annoying to deal with someone who's on low HP and boxed in. But as you guys, maybe if you guys have been looking around, there has been a ton of bugs and a ton of exploits that have been coming into the game that you can get inside someone's wall. They had the one where you can, take it with a shotgun. They added a new one. I don't know if you guys saw it yet, but you can use a flintlock pistol to get inside of anyone's 1x1 very easily. And if you guys haven't seen before, all you really have to do is to place a ramp. You edit the ramp in half, and then you go under the half you edited with your flintlock pistol. You go up into their wall and you basically just shoot it, and what basically happens is, so you shoot the flintlock pistol, it kind of hits off the wall or hit off the ramp that you made, and it flings you inside of their box. So if you guys haven't seen before, it might be worth checking out. I'm sure there's a ton of videos on YouTube on exactly how to do it, but there's definitely a lot of exploits coming into the game where you can fish people out of their boxes very easily. So just keeping up to date with those things that are in the game is really going to help you guys out, because trust me, when you're going against those PC players who are on 0 ping with their crazy good turbo build, it's going to be very hard to get inside of their 1x1, and a lot of players are going to be boxed up and playing very slow when they're on low HP. So that's just something you have to always keep in mind. When they're on low HP, they're going to be boxed up, a lot harder to kill, but you definitely don't want them to have enough time to get off their heels or just drag on the gunfight forever, because you're just sitting there holding turbo build and there's really nothing you can do. So just really trying to learn the new exploits that come into the game to get inside someone's box is really going to help you guys out, even though it is a little bit cheese, but it can be very useful to learn, and that's what I would recommend doing. And so going back into my first point when I was talking about always trying to keep in mind the advantage that you have, and this can really apply to the gunfights that you challenge. A lot of the times it might even be better if you want to go for a lot of wins to play a little bit slower and not challenge every gunfight you're going into. Obviously, the more people you run into, the more chances you have of losing that gunfight, or losing in that game. So the more people you run into, the harder it is to win. It's pretty obvious, but a lot of times I feel like players aren't challenging the gunfights that they need to challenge. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of times in games that if you can just pick off a 1 or 2 players, maybe you already have an advantage on them, maybe you already have high ground, maybe you already know they're low on HP, maybe you already know that maybe they have better weapons and you want to try to get their weapons. So there really can be a ton of reasons in which you want to challenge a gunfight on another player. But with that being said, I've really noticed a lot of players not challenging gunfights that they should. And a lot of times what end up happening is they're not challenging that gunfight, and a little bit later during that game, it could be like 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes, they end up dying to the exact same player that they should have challenged earlier, because they would have had an advantage if they would have challenged them sooner. But because they waited a little bit longer to challenge in that gunfight, they end up losing, and what would have been a pretty easy kill, they end up dying in the game, and then they have to restart. So that's just something really annoying to deal with. So the best way to counter it is just, if you think you or feel like you have an advantage in a fight, I would challenge it 100% of the times, every single gunfight. And this really applies to public matches. If you're in arena mode, of course you want to play very, very passively. You don't want to play very fast no matter what. Even if you feel like you have a good advantage, it might not always be the best case to challenge, because you have a lot of really good players coming from your sides at all times. You really never know when other people are going to push. So in arena mode, it could be a little bit different. But as far as public matches, I feel like every single gunfight that you have an advantage on that you could challenge, I would 100% do so, just because you're going to get a ton of stuff from the players that you're killing. You're going to get a ton of materials, a ton of weapons, and a ton of loot when it comes to launch pads, campfires, anything like that. And once you have an advantage, there's a lot of different advantages that you can consider, and they could be just as simple as having a little bit more HP. So if you have a lot more HP, maybe you already have 200 HP going against other players, because a lot of people in the mid game are going to have 150. Of course, you're going to run into some people with 200, but most people are going to be carrying around 150 HP. So if you have 200 and some extra minis, you already know you have a HP advantage in that fight. And then you can also have more materials. So if you have a ton of materials, you know you can outbuild the other player because they can only build so much, and you have so many materials that it really doesn't matter and you can waste a little bit. And the last advantage that you can have is positioning. So maybe you have high ground or just a better position on the other player. So with all things considered, if you have an advantage on another player, I would 100% challenge that gunfight, because a lot of times I've happened to me when I first started playing this game is I would end up not challenging a player, and then who knows, another minute or two later end up dying to the player. But I would have more than easily won the gunfight if I challenged them when I had the proper advantages. And with that being said, that's gonna wrap it up for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, hope you guys liked it, and if you guys could drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, turn on my notifications so you're notified for every single new video, and alright guys, I'll see you next video.